Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be using some art supplies which tend to be hated by quite a lot of artists and people tend to be a little bit scared of them, including myself. I am using the dreaded oil pastels and I have a set from Faber-Castell here that I'm going to try out. I haven't used oil pastels since I was at school, but I can remember at school being really frustrated with them and not really liking them and understanding properly how they worked. But it's okay because I have done some studying, I have watched some YouTube videos, got a couple of books out from the library, and I've read up how to use oil pastels and watched videos on how to blend, so I think it'll be alright. Let's see how this goes, so let's get on with it. So I'm using a piece of Canson cartridge paper which I taped down to my desk with some masking tape. This was so I could get a nice clean edge, a bit like you do with watercolour, but it doesn't really matter about stretching it with oil pastels. And oil pastels, as you probably guessed from the name, are an oil-based medium, and this means that they can be broken down with oils and blended, but I didn't actually do that. But you can use things like baby oil to smooth them out and then go over the top of them again, but because I didn't have any solvents to break them down, I didn't do this. But I did blend them with some tissue paper because in my studying, lots of different people had different ideas about how to blend oil pastels. Some people said you can use your finger, and some people said don't use your finger because the oil on your finger will mess with the oil in the pastels. So I ended up using some tissue paper which I saw someone do in a video, and this ended up working quite well to kind of smooth down the first layer a little bit. So I think the key to oil pastels seems to be working in layers, doing your first layer, your background layer first, and then building up the details later, because you can work over the top with oil pastels, but sometimes it can get a little bit muddy, and that was a thing that I was definitely finding. But yeah, I think once you smooth out and blend the first layer, then you can work on top of it again. But yeah, it was quite difficult, and I did struggle quite a lot with these because they do go muddy very quickly. Even if you use the white doesn't always go completely opaque, and that muddies up very quickly. So when I was researching oil pastels and trying to learn how to use them again, I found a couple of interesting facts. So the first one is that oil pastels were originally designed for children. Well, that's okay because we all know that I am a big kid. I have a mouse puppet, as you saw at the beginning of the video, so it's fine. These oil pastels are made for me. And they were primarily sketching tools for artists until around 1949, when apparently Pablo Picasso asked the company Sennelier, don't know if I pronounced that right, he asked them to create an oil pastel for professional artists, and that's why we have oil pastels as art supplies today, I guess. And oil pastels apparently are sticks of pigment mixed with small amounts of wax and oil. And originally oil pastels were made with vegetable oil, but today's products are made with petroleum-based oil and they are acid-free. So that's good to know. So oil pastels I find really difficult to use. They are quite thick and they build up quite cakey layers, and you can't get some really good details with them. But the one thing about them I do like is that you can scrape off the layers. So once you have a build up of layers and you want to scrape it away and create some highlights or add some different colours on top, you can do this quite easily. So for example, I was using a pen, obviously without clicking it, just the outside rim of the ballpoint pen, and also a spoon. These are quite good because the metal really does scrape it away. And if you've got too many layers though, it doesn't quite work, but if you've only got a couple of layers, you can scrape off and start again. And I did this quite a lot in the water to create some highlights, and I think this worked quite well, and I scraped it off in the Swan to try and remove some of the muddiness, because there was quite a lot of muddiness around the swan's head and on the wings. But yeah, this was quite difficult. I'm really not a fan of oil pastels. I'm reminding myself why I didn't really like them in school. I think for certain things they are a good tool. For example, if you're doing quick sketches and you want to sort of blend colours, and they're quite cheap as well. They're not expensive art supply. Even the Faber-Castell ones that I have are only about $5, so they're not too bad. But yeah, they're not my favourite at all. You can't get very good details with them, like I said, and yeah, they're just really muddy and they have a really kind of stickiness to your fingers as well, which is why I didn't actually want to blend them with my finger. But I think maybe if I had used a solvent to blend them, to blend the water for example, they might have been better and I might have been able to layer up a bit better. But they do give quite a nice impressionist look, and I think this picture is quite impressionist, but I don't know, it's not one of my favourite pieces of all time. And I'm probably not going to be using oil pastels anytime soon. But do let me know in the comments below if you like oil pastels, whether you use them a lot or whether you have any tips on using oil pastels, because I'm not really very good with them. I would like to use them again, but probably not anytime soon. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Katie. I make art videos. I try out new art supplies, do some challenges, speed paints, all that kind of thing. So if you're new, do feel free to subscribe and do hit the notification bell, because YouTube has been messing around with people's subscription boxes recently and it isn't always showing them. So hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on my future videos. And to try and get some of the highlights back, especially in the swan and in the water a little bit, I did go over the top with some white acrylic, and I'm not really sure that you're supposed to do this, but because it's just an experimenting piece, I'm not selling it, etc., it's fine. So I did this, but then I think it looked a little bit too harsh, so I did end up going back over the top with the oil pastels to blend out these highlights, and I actually preferred the piece when it was kind of part way through to at the end. And I often find that with artwork sometimes, that you go a little bit too far, one stage too far, and you think, should have left that, shouldn't have done that. I definitely think it looked better without the highlights, but I did manage to blend it out. Like I said, the oil pastels blended with the acrylic okay, and yeah, it didn't look too bad, but I definitely prefer the mid-process photos that I took rather than the final one. But that's what art is all about. It's all about experimenting and giving new things a go. Considering I don't like oil pastels very much, I definitely don't like oil pastels. I don't think this piece turned out too badly, but again, probably got a lot to learn with oil pastels, and maybe I could work a little bit bigger as well next time because it was difficult to get the details in. So here I am just peeling away the masking tape to reveal the nice clean edge, and I thought I'd leave this footage in because I know a few people quite like to watch this. So yeah, not really much to say other than I probably should have put the masking tape to my clothes to begin with, because it was quite hard to peel off, but thankfully it didn't ruin the picture, it just ruined the piece of black card that I have on my desk. So while I peel the tape off, I'll just remind you and let you know, if you didn't already, that I do have a Patreon, because I really want to make better quality videos. I want to make them more interesting, film different angles, improve the lighting, etc. So I will leave a link in the description if you'd like to check that out. Some of the rewards I have on there are colouring pages, work in progress shots, early videos, and also some exclusive Charlie pictures that only patrons get to see. So after giving these oil pastels a try, pretty much my feelings haven't really changed towards them. I still don't really like them. They're quite thick, they're quite muddy, and they're quite difficult to use. They layer but not always very well. Like I said, they're quite muddy and really bad at forgetting details. But they do have some plus points, like you can scrape them away and they do blend with solvents, and you know, they're not the worst thing ever, but they're, you know, to me they're pretty bad. So yeah, not my favourite art supply. So here is a close-up of the final result, and don't forget, if you like this video, you know, emotionally, please do leave it a like down below, as that really helps me out. But that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye for now.